Jim Harbaugh added to the computer hacking lawsuit against former Michigan offensive coordinator Matt Weiss. What is this computer hacking scandal? Is it lumped in with everything else? The sign stealing, the recruiting violations, this, that, the other? No. This is far more serious than the recruiting, the camera, the sign stealing. This trumps everything that has happened at Michigan in the Harbaugh era. And this is massive enough to land people in prison. What is this scandal? What happened? And this, it all the actual news breaking, where everything hit the fan, started in March of 2025. So, this article from the Associated Press. A former NFL and University of Michigan assistant football coach allegedly hacked into the computer accounts of thousands of college athletes seeking intimate photos and videos, according to an indictment filed Thursday. Matt Weiss, who worked for the Baltimore Ravens before joining the University of Michigan in 2021, was charged with 14 counts of unauthorized computer access and 10 counts of identity theft. The indictment filed in federal court in Detroit. Matt Weiss was fired in 2023 as Michigan's offensive coordinator after failing to cooperate with the school's investigation of his access to computers. The phone and email messages seeking comment from his attorney, Doug Molkoff, were not immediately returned Thursday. From 2015 to 2023, Weiss gained access to the database of more than 100 colleges and universities that were maintained by a third-party vendor, Pfeffer Development Services, and then downloaded personal information and the medical data of more than 150,000 athletes, the indictment states. The 14-page document portrays him as a computer whiz, saying Weiss cracked the encryption protecting the passwords associated or assisted by research that he did on the internet. He then got access to all the social media, email, and cloud storage accounts of more than 2,000 athletes and more than 1,300 students or alumni from schools across the country, according to the indictment. And as if it doesn't get worse, Weiss primarily targeted female college athletes, the indictment said. He researched and targeted these women based on their school affiliation, athletic history, physical characteristics. His goal was to obtain private photographs and videos never intended to be shared beyond intimate partners. Weiss kept notes on photos and videos that he downloaded, commenting on the bodies and sexual preferences, and sometimes returning years later to look for new images, the indictment said. Our office will move aggressively to prosecute the computer hacking to protect the private accounts of our citizens, Julie Beck, the acting U.S. attorney in Detroit, said of the charges. After more than a decade, an assistant coach with the Ravens under coach John Harbaugh, Weiss moved to Michigan to work for Harbaugh's brother, Jim Harbaugh. Been publicly known for 2 years that Weiss was under scrutiny, his Ann Arbor home was searched by police in January 2023, shortly before he was fired. He said at the time that he was cooperating and was looking forward to the matter being resolved. That is where it all started. Started in 2023, staying under the radar because Matt Weiss, not very well known individual, a co-offensive coordinator, wasn't even the rock star of that offensive coordinating team. He flew under the radar. It went unnoticed by the media, because it's the media. I am stunned by these revelations. And now Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan president, Santana, they are a part of the class action, or they are a part of the civil lawsuit, and I believe it's a class action. Yeah, it's a class action lawsuit. And Warde Manuel is also named in it. Board of Regents, the president and interim president, they are also involved. They are also in the lawsuit as well. 74 women are in the lawsuit. Started with 11, and I believe there's 48 people that were affiliated or been in the University of Michigan that's involved in this lawsuit. And the lawsuit, they are accusing Michigan of being aware that Matt Weiss was allegedly doing all these things, of hacking in, getting personal photos and whatnot off the cloud. They knew about this. They knew about him being a alleged creep, so a alleged predator. They're saying that Michigan knew about it and did nothing. They waited until after the game against TCU. I mean, for me, this is absolutely jarring. This is I can't put into words the just how far Michigan has fallen as far as the reputation. With everything here, obviously there is a computer trail. There is always an electronic trail. If you get guys good enough, they will find it and they will follow it all the way through to the end, and they will be able to keep with it until we get all the answers required. And I seriously hope that nobody truly knew what Weiss was doing. Now, I will say, I do believe that Harbaugh and the university knew something was going on. I don't know. I doubt they knew it was to this extreme. But the big question here is who knew and when did they find out? And the big dates to look at is that time leading in to the Fiesta Bowl. Those number of weeks. Who knew? When did they know? And if everything was known and talked about via email, text, whatever the case, we will find out. We will know who knew what and when. Now, the ramifications for Michigan, if this turns out to be true, I don't know how anybody can put any sort of trust in Michigan being around. This is absolutely insane. Now, I don't believe that Warde Manuel on up knew what was going on. I think Harbaugh had an idea of what was going on, but that I don't know if he knew. I don't think Harbaugh knew what was going on exactly. He probably felt something was off, but I have a hard time believing nobody in that university knew what was going on. I find that very hard to believe. And the fact that this has been going on for years at Michigan is, I mean, the true blue Michigan alumni who believe in that Block M, the ones who truly want to see Michigan achieve greatness and do it the Michigan way. They have got to be utterly embarrassed, and me as a young child, looking up to Michigan, doing things the right way, the proper way, the doing it the right way, and we're doing it better than you, the Michigan way. Looking at it and seeing what has happened in the fallout is heartbreaking. You have this image of, like, with me as a kid, and growing up, I idolized that university. Idolized it. Lloyd Carr, Chad Henne, even in the years where Michigan was not good, the Rishrod, the Hoke, it was all right. It was okay because we did it the right way. Win or lose, we're not doing anything outside. We're not doing anything outside the rule book because we don't have to do that. We have a history that shows we don't have to do that, and we will get back to there. Harbaugh comes in. The recruiting violations, the sign stealing, that's on the back burner. That's on the back burner. The fact that the media pushes that instead of this says a lot about the media as well. Not glamorous, not pretty. It's absolutely disgusting. But here we are. It is absolutely heartbreaking. Now, as I said, the big thing that needs to be found out is who knew what and when. Obviously, given that Michigan fired Weiss not too long after, not too long after that game, they knew something. They knew something. Now, in this article by Christian Romo, the Detroit Free Press, as a part of the amended lawsuit, the plaintiffs are accusing the university allowing Weiss to coach in the 2022 Fiesta Bowl versus TCU on December 31st, 2022, despite already knowing he had illegally accessed private photos. And the university put the interest of the university put the interest of the football team ahead of the victimized female students, further discriminating against the plaintiffs and the class members. And instead, even though it knew Weiss was behind the breach of female student athletes' personal, private, and intimate images and the information, it allowed Weiss to coach in the 2023 National Championship semifinal at the Fiesta Bowl only after the game on January 5th, 2023, over 2 weeks after it had received notice of Weiss's conduct. did the university even put the indictment on its police blotter? So, if this part is true, that's the nail in the coffin. There it is. They knew. They did nothing. They absolutely knew. If that part is true. The U of M fired Weiss on January 20th, 2023, shortly after putting him on a leave of absence. The FBI indicted Weiss March 20th, 2025, charging him with 14 counts. I already went over that. Harbaugh previously stated that he wasn't aware of the allegations until after the Fiesta Bowl, and that the plaintiffs alleged that the university knew Weiss had access photos at the university's Schembechler Hall from December 21st to the 23rd in 2022, over a week before the Fiesta Bowl. If I'm the Los Angeles Chargers, I am looking deeply into this. If this part right here is true, it is game over. The university is forever marred. They allowed this to happen. They allowed this to continue. And given the fact, with AI continuing to develop, continuing to get better, and having these photos, luckily, the only silver lining to this is that AI wasn't quite advanced enough to do the things it can do today. Because what AI can do now, especially if you find somebody sick and twisted enough, it can scar people with what AI is capable of doing to what is alleged, with the photos alleged to be taken off the cloud storage. I mean, it's uncomforting as my mind just continues to go to the deepest, darkest routes. And the university did not comment. Jim Harbaugh playing the I don't know game. See if I can find the actual that he wasn't aware. Completely shocked. Pleaded not guilty. Isn't just going to end up going to court. Shocking, surprising, didn't see that one coming. Found out the same time everyone else did. Don't know what to make of it, just feel really bad for the people involved that were affected by it, especially his family, and then the people that were victims of that. I love Melissa, Weiss's wife, and the kids. It's really just a disturbing situation. I really want to give Jim the benefit of the doubt, but I can't. I can't. There's no trust left. You can only play the I don't know game for so long until there's something with you that is crooked, or you're completely and totally incapable and inept. Jim Harbaugh is not inept. And they were made aware if if what they say in the lawsuit is correct, then they knew about it before the game against TCU, and they allowed him to coach it. And that alone should be enough to bury Harbaugh, to bury Manuel, to bury Ano. And they will absolutely be able to find the proof of that. That will absolutely come out. If there is proof of that, that will come out. And that should 100% be enough to have Harbaugh fired from LA, never to coach or have anything to do with football again. This is one of those situations you do not get a second chance. You do not get a redemption from this. If what is in the indictment is true, you allowed a predator to roam free using Schembechler Hall and the technology and the Michigan servers and everything here. You allowed him to hunt. You allowed him to hunt. And that is an unforgivable sin. The people at Michigan, all the way up to the president, should be fired if everything that is here is true. If Harbaugh should absolutely be fired from LA if what is in the indictment is true. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is absolutely unforgivable. And sins absolutely need to be atoned for. I'm Dylan Hildreth. This is the Dylan Hildreth Show. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything. Make sure to leave a 5-star review if you're listening on podcast and download the podcast. That way you do not miss any football, NFL, Formula 1, NASCAR, and we can get back to doing more fun stuff instead of having to talk about this horrific situation going on at Michigan that has me completely and totally disturbed. Till next time.